Close your eyes, dear traveler, and drift with me into the ancient night. Beyond the veil of time, where temples whisper and forgotten fires glow, there live stories of women who once guided hearts, nurtured kingdoms, and sang to the soul of the earth. Their voices are faint now, carried on desert winds and ocean tides, yet when we listen carefully, they rise again, gentle, radiant, and eternal. Tonight we walk beside them, not as historians, but as dreamers, letting their sacred presence soothe us into rest. If these stories bring you peace, let your heart leave a gentle trace, perhaps a like, a kind word in the comments, or a quiet subscription. Each small gesture helps this circle of calm grow, and together we create a sanctuary for sleep. The night settles like a silken curtain, shadows soften, candles flicker in distant corners of memory. You find yourself drifting into a dream of time long past, where kingdoms rise and fade like waves upon the shore, and where, hidden beneath the sands of forgotten years, the voices of sacred women still hum like a quiet song. Breathe gently. The journey begins here, under the veil of forgotten queens. Long ago, before empires grew vast and cities crowded with stone and iron, there were places where silence was worship, where rivers ran as prayers and mountains stood as temples. In these places, women were seen not as shadows but as pillars of life, bridges between the seen and unseen. They carried wisdom in their voices, gentle as lullabies, strong as tides. They poured healing into the world through ritual, through the rising of the moon, through the tending of sacred fires that never went out. Some were queens, crowned with gold and lapis lazuli. Others wore no crown at all, only garlands of flowers, and yet their people turned to them as mothers of spirit, keepers of balance, guardians of the mystery of life. Imagine a desert night. The stars stretch endless above like countless silver eyes watching tenderly. In the silence, a procession moves forward, women cloaked in flowing linen, their steps steady, their hands carrying bowls of oil, their voices chanting in tones so soft, it feels like the earth itself is humming. They approach a temple. Its walls are carved with figures of birds and suns, of rivers curling like snakes, of queens who hold the world in their open palms. Inside, firelight dances against stone. The air smells of frankincense and cedar. The queen priestess stands before her people not in pride, but in quiet strength. She raises her arms toward the heavens, and her voice becomes a bridge between the sky above and the soil beneath. Her people bow their heads, not to her alone, but to the divine breath that moves through her. For in her presence they feel held. They feel safe. They feel close to the unseen heart of creation. There were many such women in the ancient world. Some names remain, others are lost. But their stories whisper through time. In Egypt, there was Mernith, a queen who ruled in the dawn of dynasties. She wore the crown of kings, yet her power was woven with gentleness. She was remembered as one who preserved order, not through battle alone, but through sacred offerings and the rhythms of the Nile. In Mesopotamia, priestesses stood at the gates of ziggurats, their eyes lined with kohl, their voices carrying hymns to the heavens. They watched the stars, they read the patterns of the moon, and through their whispers the gods spoke to kings. And in lands now buried beneath centuries of dust, there were women whose names never carved stone, yet whose prayers fed entire villages, whose hands drew circles of protection, whose stories were sung around fires as children drifted to sleep. You drift deeper now. The veil grows heavier, like a curtain of silk brushing your face. But it does not close. It opens softly to show the secret life of sacred queens. They were not queens as power-hungry rulers are remembered today. Their reign was not conquest but care. Their crown was not only of jewels, but of moonlight and patience, of listening to the earth, of guiding their people through famine and storm with a wisdom as calm as still water. The veil of forgotten queens is not woven of silk or cloth. It is woven of time. It is woven of silence. It hides them, but it also protects them, holding their memory safe until one is ready to listen. And tonight, you are listening. Close your eyes in the dream. See the glow of lamps in an ancient palace. Hear the faint trickle of a courtyard fountain. A queen walks slowly through colonnades, her feet bare upon cool stone, her hair braided with gold thread. She does not hurry. Her power is in her stillness. Her people see her, and they feel as though the earth itself is steady beneath them. She carries not a sword, but a lotus blossom, She speaks not in shouts but in whispers, and yet kingdoms rest in her hands. Every forgotten queen held a mirror, not of glass but of spirit. When her people looked into her eyes, they saw themselves reflected back, not as flawed, but as whole, not as scattered, but as belonging. Her role was not to command, but to remind them of the rivers that gave life, to remind them of the stars that guided, to remind them of the unseen forces that held them tenderly, even when fear surrounded them. And so she became a living hymn. Her body was the temple, her breath the incense, her heart the sacred fire. Think now of how many such women there must have been, queens of islands, priestesses of forests, keepers of caves where echoes spoke like gods. They held their people as mothers hold children, not to possess, but to nurture, not to bind, but to free. And yet, time is a great river. It washes names away. It buries temples beneath earth. It scatters songs into the wind. But even rivers leave traces on stone. Even forgotten voices linger like fragrance. Even veils, when touched by light, become transparent enough to see through. So it is tonight. You see through the veil, and there they stand still, the forgotten queens, waiting, watching, not to be worshipped, but to be remembered. A vision unfolds. A mountain temple lit by torches, women in robes of white and crimson sing. Their arms rise and fall with the rhythm of the sky. The queen at the center closes her eyes, her lips moving in prayer. She prays not for herself, but for the harvest, for the river to rise, for the children to be healthy, for peace to soften the hearts of men. Her prayer is not loud. It does not need to be. The silence after her words is itself a sacred sound. Now imagine another place, a coastal land where waves crash at dawn. Here the queen is also a sailor. She walks barefoot across wet sand, her cloak heavy with sea mist. She bends to the shore, placing shells into a basket, each one an offering. She whispers to the sea mothers, those unseen guardians of the tide. And when storms come, her people believe her prayers are what guide the ships safely home. As you drift, you realize the veil is not only their covering, it is also your own. The veil is sleep itself. It softens the sharpness of the world. It hides what is too heavy to carry at once. It allows the spirit to walk gently into memory. Through this veil, you feel the presence of queens who lived long ago. You hear the echo of their steps in temple corridors. You smell the sweet smoke of incense rising like dawn mist. You see their eyes, steady as stars, never lost, never dimmed. And so, the veil of forgotten queens is not a curtain that separates. It is a bridge from waking to dreaming, a bridge from past to present, a bridge from the world of noise to the sanctuary of silence. Tonight, as you drift beneath it, their stories become your dream. They wrap around you soft as linen. They soothe you, steady you, reminding you that power can be gentle and that strength can be quiet. The candle of memory flickers low. The queens return to their silence. The temple fades into the horizon of dreams. But their song lingers, a hum beneath your breath, a comfort within your rest. Let yourself sink now, deeper, slower, calmer. The veil is around you, holding you like a cradle. The queens watch gently. Their crowns shine faint as moonlight. Their voices are soft as lullabies. And they whisper, "You are safe. You are held. You are remembered." Now let the story dissolve into quiet. Let the stars return. Let the soft winds carry you deeper into sleep. The veil closes, but not in darkness. It closes in peace, and you rest. As the forgotten queens watch over you, in silence eternal, the night deepens. The veil of silence grows heavier, softer, like a cloak wrapped around the weary soul. You rest now on the edge of ancient sands. The desert stretches far in every direction, a sea of gold glowing faint beneath the moon. The air is still, warm, and tender. Somewhere in the distance, the slow beat of a drum echoes, low, steady, like a heart remembering its rhythm. Above, the stars gather, endless and calm. They do not hurry. They do not fade. They watch, as they always have, over the temples of Egypt, over the flowing of the Nile, over the quiet prayers of those who sought comfort in the embrace of a goddess named Isis. Isis, mother of magic, mother of healing, mother of all. Her name lingers like the breath of incense. It drifts across the waters of time, across kingdoms that have turned to dust, yet her presence remains, woven into every story of love, of loss, of hope. The people once believed that Isis carried the knowledge of the heavens in her heart, that she knew the secrets of birth and of death, that her touch could heal the sick, her song could calm the grieving, her wings could shelter the broken. They called upon her not only as queen, not only as goddess, but as mother, the eternal mother of all souls. Imagine the Nile at twilight. Its waters shimmer silver beneath the rising moon. Along its banks stand temples carved of stone, their walls alive with paintings of gods and stars. Torches flicker at the gates. Priestesses in white robes move slowly, their footsteps soft, their hands carrying bowls of sacred oil and blossoms of lotus. Their voices chant in quiet rhythm, calling the name of Isis again and again, a song rising and falling like the river itself. And there, in the stillness, you sense her presence, not a figure of stone, but a warmth in the air, a softness in the night. She comes not with thunder, but with the hush of a mother's hand resting gently upon the brow of her child. Her story is vast, woven like linen across the loom of eternity. But tonight you drift into one of her most tender tales. Long ago, Osiris, the beloved king, was struck down by the shadows of envy. His body was broken, scattered across the lands of Egypt, lost to silence and sorrow. The people wept. The earth itself seemed to grieve. And Isis, his devoted wife, his eternal companion, set forth on a journey of love beyond all loss. She searched the deserts. She wandered the marshes. She listened to the whispers of reeds and the cries of birds. And piece by piece she gathered what had been lost. Her hands were steady, her heart unbroken. For love does not end when the body falls. Love endures. Love heals. With sacred breath, with words of magic older than the stars, she restored Osiris. She gave him new life, not for herself alone, but for all creation. From her devotion, from her unshaken heart, came the child Horus, a falcon of the sky, a guardian of the people. And through this, Isis became more than queen, more than goddess. She became the eternal mother, the one who holds life in her hands, who weaves wholeness from fragments, who gathers the broken and makes them whole again. Drift deeper now, as though you too are on the banks of the Nile. The air smells of lotus and honey. The water moves slow, endless, like time itself flowing gently forward. The moon glows upon its surface, and for a moment, you feel that Isis herself has bent down to touch the river. Her wings unfold behind her, vast, dark, shimmering like the night sky. They do not frighten, they comfort. They fold around you, soft as the silence of a mother's embrace. You feel smaller here, but safe. You feel seen, not judged. Her eyes, deep as the stars, gaze with a love that does not falter. The people once prayed to her for the simplest of needs: a child safe in the womb, a harvest to feed the hungry, a healing for the weak, a guiding light for the dead on their passage. She was not distant. She was not unreachable. She was close, like the river that touched every village. She was present, like the moon that rose each night without fail. Her name was whispered by farmers and queens alike, by children at play and elders at rest. She was the mother not only of gods, but of all souls who sought peace in her care. Listen now to the hum of her presence. It is not a sound of words, but of feeling. A low, endless rhythm, like the river against stone, like wind moving through papyrus reeds, like the breath of the earth itself. This is her hymn, a hymn of motherhood, of healing, of magic that does not dazzle, but mends. Each note settles into you like a gentle weight. Each tone carries you deeper into calm. Her image was painted often, a woman with a throne upon her head, the symbol of her place as queen, sometimes with wings outstretched, protecting the living and the dead alike, sometimes with the child Horus upon her lap, her gaze steady, serene. It is an image repeated across ages, carved into temples, painted in tombs, etched into amulets worn close to the heart. For to carry Isis was to carry comfort. To carry Isis was to remember that one is never alone, never forgotten, never without love. Breathe softly. The night grows deeper still. The sands stretch endless, but the stars guide your way. You walk through an ancient temple. Columns rise tall around you, their tops shaped like lotus blossoms, their shadows long and cool in the torchlight. At the center stands her altar. It is simple: a bowl of water, a garland of flowers, the smoke of incense rising in delicate curls. And though centuries have passed, though the voices of her worshippers have grown quiet, the presence remains. The air is full of her. The stillness hums with her song. Isis is not only of Egypt. Her spirit traveled across seas. Her name carried to Greece and Rome, to lands far beyond the Nile. In every place her face changed, but her essence endured. Always the mother, always the healer, always the weaver of life and magic. Her temples stood near harbors, so sailors could pray before their voyages. Her statues were placed in homes, so families could sleep safe beneath her gaze. Her rites were whispered at night, so dreams might carry comfort to the weary. She was everywhere, because motherhood has no borders. Love knows no walls. Imagine now that you rest within her temple. The night air cools. The torches burn low. A silence falls, heavy and kind. You feel her wings around you once more, not pressing, not binding, simply holding. She does not ask for anything. She does not demand. She only gives. Her gift is presence. Her gift is care. Her gift is the reminder that you too are cradled within the great fabric of life. The story of Isis teaches of devotion, of gathering what is broken, of weaving again what has been torn, of believing that no loss is final and no soul is ever beyond love's reach. It is a story not of battle but of healing, not of conquest but of compassion. And so it lingers, like the soft glow of the moon, like the quiet lap of water against the shore. It lulls you into stillness. It tells you that all is safe, all is whole, all is held, the desert winds quiet, the stars lean closer. The drumbeat fades, slow, steady, until it becomes the rhythm of your own heart. And Isis remains, not as a figure of stone, not as a name on a page, but as the eternal mother, watching, holding, guiding your spirit gently into rest. Now let the story soften. Let the river of memory flow onward. Let the wings fold around you, warm and light. You are safe in this embrace. You are whole in this stillness. You are remembered, as the goddess remembers all. So drift now. As the Nile flows, as the moonlight shimmers, as the eternal mother whispers softly to your soul, rest, be at peace. You are loved. Night spreads like a silken veil across the ancient lands of Sumer. The rivers grow still, their voices hushed. The reeds whisper softly in the evening wind. Above, the stars awaken, patient and eternal, each one carrying the memory of 1,000 forgotten prayers. You drift through this hushed plain, where temples once stood golden under the sun. Now in twilight only the fragrance of incense remains, clinging gently to the air, as if the breath of the gods has never left. And there, in this stillness, a story begins to rise. The story of Inanna. She is called the Queen of Heaven. Her crown is the crescent moon, her robe the morning sky. She walks with the majesty of dawn, her beauty so radiant that even mountains bow in silence. But tonight her steps turn not toward light, but toward shadow. For Inanna, in her great mystery, chooses to descend. The tale begins at the gates of the underworld. 7 gates, each one heavy, carved in silence, guarded by stillness. The realm below belongs to Ereshkigal, sister of Inanna, queen of the dead. It is a place where sunlight never enters, where waters do not sparkle, where the dust of time gathers upon every stone. And yet, Inanna moves toward it. Why does she go? Some say she goes to comfort her grieving sister. Some whisper she seeks wisdom hidden in the shadows. Others believe she journeys to taste the truth of death itself so that life may be more fully known. But reasons matter little in this moment. What matters is the image of her steps, slow and solemn, toward the realm no living one enters lightly. At the first gate, the guardian speaks. Who comes before the kingdom of silence? Inanna, Queen of Heaven, she answers, her voice steady as flowing water. The guardian does not bow nor smile. Instead, he takes her crown. For in the underworld, all must be stripped. Inanna walks onward, her brow bare, her light slightly dimmed, but her spirit still unbroken. At the second gate, her earrings are taken. At the third, her necklace. At the fourth, her breastplate. At the fifth, her golden belt. At the sixth, her bracelets and rings. At the seventh, even her robe. One by one, her glories fall away until nothing remains but the simple shape of her being. Naked, vulnerable, yet still radiant in essence, Inanna enters the realm of shadows. The silence deepens and the air grows cold, but she does not falter. Ereshkigal sits upon her throne of stone. Her eyes hold sorrow too heavy for words. She is queen of what lies beneath, burdened by loss, by endings, by the weight of stillness that never lifts. When she sees Inanna, there is no embrace, only the gaze of death meeting the gaze of life. And in that moment, Inanna is struck down. Her body hangs upon a hook like a withered garment. The Queen of Heaven lies still in the kingdom below. Time in the upper world falters. The seeds pause in their growing. The winds hesitate in their dancing. Without Inanna's presence, the pulse of life weakens, like a heartbeat growing faint. But the story does not end in silence. Inanna, though fallen, is not forgotten. Messengers are sent, prayers whispered. Through patience and compassion, the balance shifts. 3 small beings are created from the clay of the gods, shaped delicate as drops of dew. They descend to the underworld, quiet as drifting ash. They find Ereshkigal in her grief, crying with the pain of endless burden. And these gentle ones do not accuse her, nor demand. Instead, they listen. They echo her cries softly back to her, like mirrors of compassion. When she groans, they groan. When she weeps, they weep. For the first time, Ereshkigal is not alone in her sorrow. Moved by this tenderness, she softens. She grants them a gift. They ask for Inanna's release. And so the Queen of Heaven, still and pale, is lifted down from the hook. The waters of life are sprinkled over her. Her breath returns. Her eyes open, shining once more. Yet balance demands its toll. No one may leave the underworld without offering another in their place. Inanna rises, but she must choose. She passes through the gates again, clothed anew in her strength, yet forever changed. Her gaze is deeper now, carrying the quiet of shadows within her light. When she returns above, the world exhales. The seeds awaken. The rivers begin to flow again. The sun warms the earth with gentleness. But Inanna has learned, to live is not only to shine. To live is also to descend, to surrender, to be stripped bare, and to rise again, softened and renewed. So the people remembered. They told the tale in temple songs, in hushed chants by the fire. Inanna's descent became a symbol of every journey into shadow. For each life holds seasons of loss. Each soul knows the underworld in its own way. But like Inanna, one may rise again, carrying the wisdom of the dark as a lantern for the days to come. Now, let the image linger. The 7 gates, one by one. The slow surrender of crown, jewel, robe, until nothing remains but essence. The stillness of the underworld, where silence is heavy but not unending. The compassion that unlocks the doors of sorrow. The breath that returns, gentle as dawn. Inanna rises, and with her, so does the world. The cycle is unbroken. Life, death, and life again. Always flowing. Always returning. And as you listen, feel yourself walking alongside her. Feel the weight of what is no longer needed falling gently away. Let the underworld of your own heart become a place not of fear, but of stillness. Here, nothing chases you. Here, you rest. You breathe. Like Inanna, you surrender for a time. And like her, you too shall rise, carried by the dawn, embraced by the soft return of light. The night deepens now. The reeds hush their song. The stars drift in gentle circles above you. The earth hums quietly beneath. Inanna's tail rests beside you, not as a burden, but as a cradle. It holds you in its rhythm, steady as breath. Through shadow, through silence, through descent and return, the spirit learns to soften, to endure, to shine again. So let us drift onward, wrapped in this ancient story. The gates close softly behind. The night opens wide above, and the stars, like small guardians, keep their patient watch. Rest now, as the Queen of Heaven once rested. Rest as the world rests in its turning. Rest as the story closes its wings around you. The mountains of Greece rise like ancient guardians against the night. Their peaks are wrapped in silver mist, soft as breath. The air is thin here, quiet, touched by a stillness that feels holy. Stone paths wind upward, lit only by the pale glow of moonlight, as though carved for pilgrims who seek answers beyond themselves. And at the heart of these heights rests Delphi. Sacred Delphi, where the god Apollo is said to dwell, where the earth opens like a deep sigh, and vapors drift upward from the navel of the world. Where the voice of prophecy has long whispered, not from mortal lips alone, but through the breath of heaven itself. Tonight, the sanctuary lies hushed. The marble columns gleam softly in the dim light, their edges blurred by shadow. Olive trees sway gently in the breeze, their silver leaves glimmering like stars caught in branches. The world above sleeps. But here, the air holds a secret tension, a trembling quiet. It is the stillness before a divine word. Within the temple, the Pythia waits. She is no queen, no ruler, yet pilgrims bow at her feet. For when she speaks, it is not she alone who speaks. It is the god, Apollo, the radiant one, the bringer of light and harmony, the voice of music and truth. The priestess sits upon the tripod stool above the cleft of the earth. Beneath her, the breath of the mountain rises. A gentle smoke, fragrant and strange, curls around her like a veil. It softens the lines of her face, blurs the world into dream. Her eyes close. Her hands rest loosely upon her lap. She breathes deeply, slowly, until her body sways with the rhythm of the earth. She is both here and not here. Her voice, when it comes, is soft and distant, like a wind through hidden caverns. Pilgrims come from far lands, their sandals worn from the long road. Kings and shepherds alike, carrying questions heavy on their hearts. Some seek guidance for wars and kingdoms. Some seek blessings for harvests. Others ask only about the quiet matters of love, of children, of sorrow carried in silence. Each one kneels before the priestess. Each one waits, and through her, the god responds. Not in plain words, but in symbols, in riddles shaped like flowing rivers. The answers are never simple. They move like light upon water, clear yet always shifting. Truth is given, but wrapped in mystery, for what is sacred is never handed easily. The seekers leave in silence, each carrying a flame of thought within them. Some understand quickly, others carry the words for a lifetime before their meaning unfolds. But tonight, we do not stand among the seekers. We drift closer, into the stillness of the temple itself. Listen, the stone walls breathe softly with the night. Torches flicker low, casting golden shadows that dance like forgotten hymns. The scent of laurel leaves lingers in the air, fresh and sharp. For laurel belongs to Apollo, ever sacred, ever green. The priestess sways in her trance. Her lips move gently, as if repeating an eternal song. Her words rise not for a single ear, but for the whole of existence. Even the stones seem to listen, as though the earth itself leans in to hear. Outside, the mountain winds carry her whispers downward. They flow through the valleys, across the rivers, into the hearts of villages. Even those who never climb the path to Delphi feel her presence. For prophecy is not only a word, it is a vibration, a tuning of the soul. When the Pythia speaks, the harmony of the world shifts, like strings of a lyre plucked by unseen hands. The people of Greece believe Delphi is the very center of the world. Long ago, it is said, Zeus released two great eagles, one flying east, the other west. They met here above this holy stone, the omphalos, the navel of the earth. Here, the seen and the unseen meet. Here, the heavens bow toward the earth. And so the priestesses serve, age after age, as bridges between worlds. Not queens, not warriors, yet more enduring than kings or empires. Their words outlive stone, carried in memory, carried in song. Imagine now a day long ago. The temple is bright with morning light. The marble shines white as cloud. Crowds gather on the steps, their voices hushed, their offerings fragrant. Bowls of honey, garlands of flowers, figures carved from gold. The Pythia enters slowly, barefoot, wrapped in simple linen. Her hair is bound with a crown of laurel. She drinks from the clear spring of Castalia, washing away all impurity. She breathes in the fresh mountain air. Her spirit grows quiet, her body still. When she enters the inner chamber, the light softens. The world outside fades. Only the breath of the mountain remains. Only the pulse of Apollo's presence. Her words will come soon, drifting like smoke, rising like a song too old to have a beginning. The seekers bow, their hearts trembling with hope. But what of the priestess herself? She is not a goddess, yet she carries the god. She is not eternal, yet she holds eternity in her breath. Her body is fragile, but through her moves the voice of fire and music. When she leaves the trance, she remembers little. She returns to silence, to the simple tasks of living. But those who heard her never forget. Her words echo in their choices, their dreams, their destinies. The night deepens. The temple grows still again. Only the mountain watches now, and the stars above. The priestess rests, her body weary, her spirit calm. She has given herself once more to the song of the god. And the song has passed onward, like a river flowing toward the sea. And you, gentle soul, listening here in quiet, you too have walked the temple steps. You too have breathed the mountain air. You too have felt the whisper of prophecy brushing softly against your skin, not as a command, not as a demand, but as a reminder that within every silence, a voice waits. Within every question, an answer rests, patient as stone, waiting to be heard when the heart is ready. Now let the image soften. The temple fades into mist, the torches dim, the marble returns to shadow. Only the laurel trees remain swaying gently in the night. Their silver leaves whisper like soft lullabies, telling you that all is well. High above, Apollo's lyre seems to play in the stars. The notes shimmer, then dissolve into the quiet sky. The prophecy is not for tomorrow, not for yesterday. It is for this moment of stillness, this breath, this rest. Let us drift onward now. The mountain path falls away. The night grows deeper, softer, kinder. The stars lean closer, patient and calm. Rest as the priestesses rested. Rest as the temple rests in silence. Rest as the world turns beneath the gentle gaze of the heavens. Now close the gates of thought. Let sleep carry you as softly as laurel leaves upon the wind. Let the whispers fade into dream. And let the stars return, watching over you, steady and eternal. The night is calm above the golden sands. The stars spill across the sky like scattered pearls, each one gleaming with an ancient light. A cool desert wind moves gently, carrying with it the faint scent of lotus and myrrh. The moon, full and radiant, rises above the horizon, painting the dunes in silver. In this stillness, the temple of Hathor glows softly. Its pillars rise like open arms, welcoming every weary traveler who seeks warmth. Carvings of music, of dancers, of cattle and flowing rivers adorn its stone walls. It is not a place of fear. It is a place of joy, of sweetness, of life's gentle beauty. Here, in the sacred silence of the desert night, you are invited to step closer. Listen, for the sound of tambourines begins to rise, faint at first, like a heartbeat in the distance. Their rhythm drifts on the wind, mingling with the soft laughter of water flowing through hidden channels. The sound is tender, soothing, and it carries you inward, deeper, into the heart of the story. Hathor, Lady of Music and Joy, stands at the center of this temple of light. She is often seen as a cow, motherly and gentle, her eyes vast as the sky. At other times, she wears the face of a woman, crowned with the sun between horns, glowing with radiant warmth. She is not only a goddess of motherhood and love, she is the goddess of music, of dance, of laughter, of every tender moment that makes life worth living. In Egypt, when hearts grew heavy and work in the fields pressed hard upon the body, her name was called. Her songs were sung at festivals. Her presence was invited in moments of celebration, for she carried the gift of joy, reminding all that even in toil, life is beautiful. The priests tell of her laughter being the sound that shook the heavens open. Her voice is like clear water falling upon stone, breaking silence with sweetness. When music is played, when feet stamp upon the ground in dance, it is her spirit that moves through the people. Imagine now a festival in her honor. The sun is set and torches line the streets. The people gather in bright robes, their hands carrying tambourines, flutes, and sistrums, sacred rattles that shimmer like silver when shaken. Wine flows freely, red as the setting sun. The air is filled with the fragrance of roasted bread and honey cakes. The sistrums begin to play, a shaking, shimmering sound that seems to awaken the very earth. Dancers step lightly upon the ground, their arms swaying like the reeds along the Nile. The crowd claps, sings, and laughs, not out of duty, but out of joy. For in such moments Hathor is near. She dances among them, unseen yet deeply felt, like a mother smiling at the happiness of her children. Hathor's temples were not only places of ritual, but of comfort. Travelers on long roads could rest in her shadow. Women seeking blessings for childbirth turned their prayers to her. Musicians prayed for her to guide their fingers, for she was believed to move through every note and every beat of the drum. In her, softness and strength were one. She was the mother who fed the weary with milk. She was the goddess who lifted sorrow with laughter. She was the radiant star who reminded all that life, no matter how heavy, always carries sweetness within it. Even kings bowed their heads in her presence, for they knew that power and stone are nothing without joy to warm the heart. And so, Hathor became beloved, not through fear but through love. There is also a deeper story. Long ago, when Ra, the great sun god, grew angry with humanity, he sent forth his fierce daughter, Sekhmet, to punish the people. Sekhmet's roar was fire. Her steps left the ground red with blood. But when the earth could bear no more, it was Hathor who came forth, softening the storm. The myths say that the gods tricked Sekhmet by offering her wine dyed red, so that it looked like blood. She drank deeply, and her rage dissolved into laughter, into dance, into peace. From that day, Hathor became the gentle face of Sekhmet's fire, turning fury into joy, turning fear into love. This story was told not as a warning, but as a promise that even anger, even sorrow, even pain can be transformed. Through music, through laughter, through the gentle touch of Hathor, Lady of Joy. Close your eyes and listen to the sounds around her temple. The tambourines still echo softly in the distance. The sistrums shimmer like silver rain. The wind carries the faint hum of voices singing songs that rise and fall like the Nile itself. Each note is a prayer. Each rhythm is a heartbeat. The music does not rush. It flows slow and steady, like water against stone. It cradles you, as Hathor cradles all who call her name. She is also the goddess of beauty, of the mirror, of the adornments of life. But her beauty is not harsh, not proud. It is the beauty of kindness, of laughter shared between friends, of the glow in a child's smile, of the quiet moment when one sits beneath the stars and feels at peace. The ancients said that when one gazes into the mirror, it is not only their own face they see, but also the reflection of Hathor, reminding them of their own divine light. Every smile, every act of love, is a reflection of her. And so, when the Egyptians danced, when they drank wine, when they played their instruments, they did not see these as small joys. They saw them as holy. To sing was to worship, to laugh was to pray, to dance was to move in harmony with the divine. Now the night deepens again. The festival grows quieter. The torches burn lower, their flames soft and golden. The crowd rests, lying upon the earth, their hearts full. Only the distant sound of a flute lingers in the air, gentle as a lullaby. Within the temple, Hathor remains. Her presence is still felt in the soft glow of moonlight across the pillars, in the faint sound of water trickling in the sacred pools, in the quiet joy that settles into the hearts of those who have celebrated. She has given them laughter. She has given them rest. And now, she gives them silence, a silence that soothes like a mother's hand upon the brow. You too are part of this silence now. You too rest beneath her gaze. Her music drifts around you, slow and tender. Her laughter ripples like water, gentle and kind. Her embrace is the night itself, cool and protective, wrapping around you like soft cloth. Feel the rhythm of her presence in your breath. Each inhale, a note of music. Each exhale, a release into peace. Her temple is not far away. It is within you, in the quiet joy that always waits, ready to rise again when you remember. The stars above turn slowly, as they have for thousands of years. The desert is still, yet alive with whispers of song. And Hathor, Lady of music and joy, remains eternal, flowing like a river through time, carrying laughter, beauty, and love into every soul that seeks her. Now, let the music fade into dream. Let the tambourines grow softer. Let the wine of her joy turn into the sweetness of rest. Drift onward as the goddess herself smiles in the silence. Drift onward as the night deepens, safe and tender. Drift onward as the stars return, steady and eternal. Now rest. Rest in the arms of joy. Rest in the embrace of music. Rest as Hathor's gentle presence carries you into sleep. From Arabia to Mesopotamia, we wander beneath crescent skies, discovering forgotten lunar priestesses who kept the night alive with prayer and silver light. The night opens like a quiet curtain. Stars rest like gentle sparks across a velvet sky. The moon rises, calm and pale, floating above the horizon. Its light softens the stones, the sand, the rivers, and the temples. The world seems hushed, as if holding its breath beneath the silver glow. It is here, in the cradle of night, that the daughters of the moon once walked. They were women who carried the light of the lunar goddess, women who prayed to the silence of the stars, and women who guarded the secrets of night itself. The story begins in Mesopotamia, where the rivers of the Tigris and Euphrates moved like sleeping serpents across the land. Here, under moonlight, priestesses gathered in temples of white stone. The air carried the coolness of night. Torches flickered at the edges of the courtyards, yet within the sacred circle, only the moon was needed. They lifted their hands to Nanna, the god of the moon, and to Ningal, the gentle mother who walked by his side. Silver bowls of oil glimmered at their feet, mirroring the roundness of the full moon above. Their songs were soft as water over pebbles, their prayers steady as the tide. Each chant was a thread, woven from the earth to the heavens. Each gesture of their hands was a reflection of the moon's phases, waxing, waning, never-ending. Far across the desert, in the lands of Arabia, another moon rose, worshipped beneath open skies. There, under the crescent, women served the goddess Al-Lat, keeper of night and protector of the wandering. The air smelled of myrrh and desert wind. Campfires glowed faintly, but the priestesses looked upward, their faces lit by lunar light. They were called daughters of the crescent, guardians of cycles, of tides, of time itself. They whispered prayers not with loud voices, but with breath, carried on the night wind. Every sigh of sand, every call of a desert owl seemed to answer them. From temple to desert, from city to wandering camp, the daughters of the moon were bound not by walls, but by light. They lived in rhythm with the night sky. When the moon was new, they honored stillness. When it was full, they danced in circles, their shadows moving like silver waves across the ground. The moon taught them patience. It taught them that everything passes and everything returns. Darkness was never the end. It was only a pause, a resting place before light was born again. Imagine the scene: a quiet courtyard in Ur, the air heavy with jasmine and night-blooming flowers. A group of women kneel before an altar of stone. The moon, high above, spills its light upon them. Their robes shimmer faintly, pale as river foam. They move slowly like drifting clouds, their voices low, steady, and kind. Now imagine another scene: a circle of women in the Arabian sands. The desert night is wide and endless, and the stars burn sharp as diamonds. They stand barefoot upon the cool ground, their arms raised, their hair catching the light of the crescent. They sway like reeds in the desert wind, their chants echoing softly across the dunes. Different lands, different names, yet the same devotion, the same moon, the same endless silver sky. The daughters believed the moon was not distant, but close as the heart, as close as a mother's touch. Each phase of the moon was like a step in their own lives. The waxing moon, young and new, was like the freshness of birth and beginnings. The full moon, strong and bright, was the fullness of life, abundance, love, and joy. The waning moon, soft and fading, was wisdom, release, the gentle letting go of what must pass. Their bodies, too, followed these rhythms, and they honored the cycles within themselves as sacred reflections of the sky above. Stories were told among them, tales whispered beneath silver beams. One spoke of the moon as a white bird spreading its wings across the sky. Another told of a pearl cast into the heavens by the hands of the gods. Others said the moon was a lamp lit each night by unseen hands, to remind the world it was never alone in the dark. The priestesses listened to these stories, and in their silence they knew them all to be true, each in its own way. Sometimes seekers would come to them. Kings, travelers, mothers, dreamers, all came to ask the same quiet questions. When should I begin? When should I wait? What does the night hold for me? And the daughters of the moon would answer, not with loud words, but with gestures, with songs, with stories that moved like rivers. They spoke in symbols, because the moon itself never shouts. It only glows quiet and steady, revealing without forcing. Through time, kingdoms rose and fell. Temples crumbled. Desert winds swept across forgotten stones. But still the moon rose night after night. And though the priestesses' names may fade, their devotion does not vanish. It lingers in the light that touches every roof, every field, every sleeping face. The daughters of the moon remain in memory, walking softly in the imagination, their silver hands still lifted to the sky. Now, imagine yourself beneath that same moon. You lie on soft ground, the air cool and still around you. Above, the stars are scattered like seeds of light, and the moon drifts slowly, calm as a boat upon a still sea. You breathe with it, slow, gentle. Each breath is a tide, each sigh a wave upon the shore of night. The voices of the priestesses echo faintly, like distant song carried on the wind. You do not need to understand the words, only the rhythm, the softness, the peace they bring. The night wraps around you a silver cloak of safety. You are held by the same moon that held the priestesses, the same moon that guided wanderers, the same moon that will shine tomorrow and the night after, without end. Let your mind drift, as theirs once did. Let your spirit rest, as the moon continues its path. The daughters of the moon are near, their presence calm, their song endless. You are safe beneath their light. Now rest. Rest as the stars return to their places. Rest as the moon glides onward, faithful, steady, eternal. Let us drift onward into the gentle silence, into the calm embrace of night. Through fields of soft blossoms we greet Persephone, whose steps between shadow and sunlight remind us that every winter carries the promise of spring. The night is still. The stars float quietly above, their light soft as candle flames in the distance. A calm breeze moves through the darkness and the earth rests, heavy with sleep. Beneath this sky, a story stirs, a story as old as the turning of the seasons, a story of shadow and sunlight, of silence and song. It is the story of Persephone, gentle queen of the underworld, and daughter of the earth's green mother. Her name drifts like a whisper through the ages, carried on the winds of Greece, woven into the fabric of time. Her journey is not one of war or loud triumph, but of return, a quiet cycle that touches the hearts of all who live. Imagine the earth in winter. The fields lie bare. The trees stand still and silent, their branches thin against the pale sky. Frost rests upon the ground and the breath of the land grows faint. Yet beneath this stillness, life waits. Roots dream in the soil, seeds hold their breath in hidden chambers, and the memory of spring sleeps like a child wrapped in blankets of earth. It is in this silence that Persephone's story begins. Once, she was a maiden of light, walking among wildflowers, her laughter mingling with the hum of bees, her hands brushing petals that leaned toward her as if in devotion. Her mother, Demeter, goddess of the fields, watched her with joy, her heart blooming with every step her daughter took. But the balance of the world is never only light. There is shadow also, a place where silence reigns, where roots twist deep and unseen. And into that shadow Persephone was drawn, taken to the underworld, where Hades, lord of the silent halls, waited with his kingdom of quiet. The earth mourned. Demeter's grief fell like snow across the fields. Grain withered, flowers bent their heads, and rivers slowed in their course. All the world seemed to sigh in sorrow, yet even in darkness Persephone endured. She learned the stillness of the underworld. She walked among the shades, and though her steps were soft, her presence carried light into that quiet realm. In time, a bond was made. The underworld became her second home, its silence balanced by her gentle strength. But the world above could not live without her, and so an agreement was formed. Part of the year she would dwell below, and part she would return, bringing life back to the waiting earth. Her return was a blessing. When Persephone's foot first touched the surface, the soil stirred. Seeds opened their hidden eyes. Green shoots reached upward, stretching toward the sun. The air filled with the scent of blossoms, and birds, long silent, lifted their voices in song. Every spring became her homecoming. Every flower, a sign of her steps. Every fruit, a gift of her presence. Imagine now her path back to the world above. She rises from the shadowed halls, her robe trailing silver dust from the underworld. In her hands she carries memory, the quiet wisdom of those who dwell in silence. Above, Demeter waits, her arms open, her tears falling not of sorrow, but of joy. When they embrace, the earth itself awakens. Grain swells golden in the fields. Trees stretch wide with fresh leaves. The rivers dance faster, their voices sparkling with new life. And those who watch know, winter is not forever. Darkness is not the end. There is always a return. The ancients told this story to remind themselves that sorrow is followed by joy, that sleep is followed by waking, and that even the coldest night carries the seed of dawn. Persephone's cycle was their comfort. Each year they saw her descent in autumn's fading light, and each year they welcomed her return in the first bloom of spring. The world itself became her altar, each blade of grass a prayer, each blossom a hymn. In her story lies a truth for all hearts. We too pass through winters, through moments of stillness and shadow. We too feel the silence of cold days, the waiting, the longing for light to return. But Persephone's steps remind us that nothing is lost forever. Like her we return. We rise again and again, carrying the wisdom of our winters into the joy of our springs. Now see her once more, walking through a meadow of soft blossoms. The air is warm, alive with the hum of bees. Butterflies drift like fragments of sunlight. Her hair shines in the glow of morning, and her smile opens the heart of the world. Every step she takes is gentle. Every step is renewal. The blossoms lean toward her, their petals opening wide as if to greet her. The rivers sing at her passing, their waters brighter for her gaze. It is a vision of peace, a reminder that life flows onward, never ending, always returning. You lie now beneath the same sky she once walked under. The moon drifts slowly, a silver guardian of the night. The stars watch quietly, like patient eyes in the heavens, and somewhere within the earth, Persephone's footsteps stir, promising the return of blossoms, the return of warmth, the return of light. Breathe with this rhythm, slow, gentle. Inhale as if drawing in the fragrance of flowers. Exhale as if releasing sorrow into the night air. Each breath is a season, each sigh a turning of the wheel. Now the story softens. The meadow fades, the blossoms close their eyes, and the world grows still again. You rest in the quiet of the cycle, knowing the promise of renewal, knowing the certainty of return. Persephone's gentle steps guide you, not to fields or rivers, but to the calm landscape of your own dreaming. There, blossoms will open, waters will flow, and warmth will find you once more. So let us drift onward, carried by her story, held by her promise. Now rest as the stars return to their silence. Now rest as the moon glides softly above. Now rest in the gentle rhythm of Persephone's eternal return. On the shores of Carthage, we hear the sacred name of Tanit, goddess of fertility and protection, her presence woven into starlit offerings and ocean tides. The night opens slowly like a veil drawn back to reveal the stars. Above, the sky is deep and endless, its quiet scattered with silver lights, each one trembling like a distant flame. The sea rests at the edge of the world. Its waves are gentle tonight, rising and falling with the slow breath of the earth. Their song is soft, a lullaby carried across the sand, woven with the rhythm of time. On this shore stands a temple. Stone rises against the dark sky, smooth and weathered by countless years. Torches flicker along the walls, casting golden light that dances upon carvings and symbols. The scent of salt mingles with the sweetness of incense, carried upward on the cool night air. This is the temple of Tanit. Here, the goddess is remembered, not with fear, but with reverence. She is the mother who guards, the hand that blesses, the silent presence woven into starlight and sea. The people of Carthage knew her well. They called upon her in the stillness of night, and in the brightness of day. She was their protector, their guide through storm and calm. Her image stood in homes and in sanctuaries, marked by crescent moon and open hands, symbols of her care, symbols of her endless giving. When the sea was restless, they looked to Tanit. When fields longed for rain, they whispered her name. When children were born, they placed them under her blessing, trusting the goddess of life and light. And always at her temple the people gathered. Imagine the scene. It is a night of clear skies. The moon, curved like a silver bowl, hangs above the waves. Lanterns sway in the breeze, their flames bending but never breaking. Women in white robes move softly across the stone, their steps slow like water flowing. Men carry baskets filled with grain, with figs, with honey. Children hold flowers, their small hands careful not to let petals fall. All come in silence, not silence of fear but of peace, the silence of those who know they stand in the presence of something vast, something unseen yet near. At the heart of the temple burns a fire. It has burned for generations, tended by priestesses whose voices carry like the song of the tide. They chant low and steady, their words flowing like water through the night air. Tanit is not seen, yet she is felt. She is in the hush of the sea, in the curve of the moon, in the warm glow of the fire. She is the strength in the arms of mothers, the protection carried by fathers, the laughter hidden in the voices of children. Her temple is not only stone, it is the whole earth, the sky, the ocean. Every wave is her prayer, every star is her lamp, every birth, her blessing. Long ago, the sailors of Carthage set out across wide waters. Their ships rode the waves to distant lands, to shores unknown. The sea could be kind, but it could also be cruel. Winds could turn, Storms could rise, waves could break against fragile wood. And so before each journey, the sailors came to Tanit. They stood before her altar, their hands open in offering. They asked not only for safe passage, but for courage, for calm hearts, for the strength to endure the vast unknown. When they sailed into the horizon, they carried her symbol carved upon their ships, painted upon sails, etched into memory. They believed she followed them, her gaze steady, her presence near, even upon waters that stretched beyond the edge of maps. Her temple was more than a place of prayer. It was a refuge, a space where sorrow was lifted, where hope was renewed. When crops withered in the sun, the people came with bowls of water, pouring them gently onto the earth before Tanit's altar, a symbol of rain yet to come. When families longed for children, they lit lamps in her name, their light shining like stars across the sanctuary floor. When sickness touched the city, they carried herbs, they carried bread, they carried faith. All was given not in fear, but in trust. Tanit was not far away. She was in the rising of the moon, in the flowing of milk, in the swell of the sea. She was as near as breath. Listen now to the sea. Its rhythm echoes through the stones, a song of endless motion. The tide has always known her. The waves bow gently toward her temple as though greeting their queen, and the stars, they too bend toward her name. Carthage was a city of stars and sea, and Tanit was the thread that bound them. Her presence lingered in every horizon, her blessing whispered in every night wind. Those who served her spoke often of protection, not only the protection of walls and weapons, but of spirit, the kind of shield that comes from love, the kind that keeps a child safe in a mother's arms, the kind that keeps a flame alive through storm and rain. She was called the Great One, but also the Gentle One, a goddess of power, yet also of peace. In her the people found balance. In her they found comfort. Now imagine the offerings laid before her altar. Clay jars filled with oil shining faintly in the firelight. Garlands of flowers woven with hands both young and old. Fruit from the orchards. Bread from the ovens. Wine from the vines. All of it given with quiet hearts. Not for her hunger, but for remembrance. Each gift was a whisper. You are with us. You are our mother. You are our shield. And in the silence of the temple the people felt an answer. Not in words, but in the warmth of the fire, the hush of the sea, the glow of the moon. The story of Tanit is not only of long ago, it lingers. It lingers in the sound of the waves that still wash the shores of Carthage. It lingers in the stars that still lean over quiet temples, over sleeping fields. Her presence is not gone. It breathes in the rhythm of life itself, in the cry of a newborn, in the laughter of a child, in the quiet strength of those who hold and protect, who love and endure. Now, as the night deepens, the temple grows quieter. The fire burns low, its glow soft as embers in a dream. The torches fade, their smoke curling upward like prayers. The sea sighs against the shore, its song steady, its voice eternal. You stand at the threshold, watching the stars bend low, hearing the waves carry whispers of her name. You feel her presence, not as a figure before you, but as a calm within you. A calm that protects, a calm that blesses, a calm that holds you close. Rest now as the sea rests. Rest as the stars return to their endless watch. Rest as Tanit's gentle presence drifts through the night. Let us drift onward, guided by her memory, held by her blessing. Now rest as the moonlight softens and the temple of Tanit fades into the quiet of your dreaming. Let us drift into ancient Turkey, where women swirled in devotion, their dance a prayer of earth and sky, moving the spirit closer to the divine. The night settles slowly, like a silk veil lowered across the horizon. The stars open above, their silver eyes calm and steady. The air is warm, carrying the scent of earth after rain, mingled with faint traces of burning cedar. A circle of stones lies upon the ground, lit by torches that glow like small suns. Their flames lean in the breeze, dancing shadows across worn rock and soil. In this sacred place, a gathering begins. Women step into the circle, their robes flowing like rivers of cloth. Each step is quiet, each breath measured. They are not here for spectacle, but for prayer. Not for the eye of the world, but for the embrace of the divine. This is Anatolia, land of mountains and plains, where rivers carve their way to the sea and winds carry songs across wide valleys. Here, in the hush of night, dancers rise to honor the unseen. Their bodies sway with the rhythm of drums. The sound is steady like the beating of a heart, a slow pulse, a call to the spirit. The dancers begin with small movements, feet brushing the earth, arms rising as though to greet the stars. The circle expands and contracts, flowing like breath itself. Hands reach outward, then return inward, as if gathering the night sky into their chests and releasing it again. The torches flicker, casting their glow upon faces serene, faces lifted toward the heavens. Hair sways, robes swirl, anklets ring softly in the dark. This is more than dance. It is remembrance. It is prayer. Each turn, each step, is a word unspoken. Each movement is an offering, a bridge between body and spirit, between earth and sky. Long ago, the people of Anatolia believed that the earth itself was alive. The soil was not only ground beneath their feet, but the skin of a great mother. Mountains were her bones, rivers her veins, the wind her breath. To dance upon her surface was to join her heartbeat. To swirl beneath the sky was to mirror the stars in motion. The dancers carried this truth in every step they took. They knew that their bodies were vessels of life. They bore children, they bore burdens, they bore joy and sorrow alike. And so they honored the divine not through words carved in stone, but through movement that flowed as freely as water. The drums deepen. The rhythm grows steadier but never harsh. It flows like a river in twilight, its sound low and endless. The women move faster now, robes lifting like petals caught in a gentle wind. They spin in wide arcs, turning again and again, their feet brushing dust into the night air. The world blurs around them, yet their faces remain serene, their eyes half closed in quiet devotion. The circle becomes a living wheel, each dancer a spoke, each turn a prayer carried upward. Their movements weave together, a pattern unseen, yet deeply felt, like threads of a tapestry woven beneath the gaze of eternity. Legends tell of the goddess Cybele, the great mother of Anatolia. She was said to dwell in the mountains, her voice echoing through caves and forests. She was wild and tender, guardian of life and of the natural world. The sacred dancers were often seen as her daughters. When they moved, they carried her presence into the world. Their spinning steps were her voice. Their swaying arms were her embrace. Their endless turning was the eternal cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. Those who watched felt themselves lifted. Sorrow grew lighter, wounds felt smaller, the heart beat slower, as though lulled by the goddess herself. Picture the circle now. Dust rises like mist. The torches burn steady. The stars above drift slowly across the dome of sky. And still the dancers turn. Their feet kiss the earth, their arms open wide. One hand lifts toward the heavens, the other lowers toward the ground. They are the bridge, connecting what is above with what is below. Every turn is the turning of the seasons. Every step is the passage of time. Every spin is a reminder that all things move in circles. The moon waxes and wanes. The sun rises and sets. The seed falls and grows again. And so too does the soul move in its endless journey. The music softens. The drums slow to a heartbeat's hush. Flutes rise in the stillness, their notes high and trembling, like wind passing through mountain pines. The dancers sway now, their turning gentle, their movements quiet as sleep. They fold their arms across their chests, heads bowed, breath steady. Their robes fall still, settling against the earth. The circle rests, and in that rest, the prayer is complete. Those who watched felt as though they had been carried somewhere far away, somewhere between waking and dreaming. The dance was not for eyes, but for souls. It drew them inward to a place where silence spoke, where the heart could hear what words could not say. And in the quiet that followed, all felt closer to the divine. The sacred dancers of Anatolia were not remembered only for their beauty. They were remembered for their devotion. They gave their bodies to movement, their breath to rhythm, their hearts to the unseen. Through them, the people remembered the Great Mother, the endless cycle of life, the bond between sky and earth. Through them, the world itself seemed to breathe, to move, to sing. Now, the night deepens. The torches fade, their smoke rising into the stars. The drums fall silent. The dancers rest beside the fire, their robes spread upon the ground like folded wings. The earth is still, the sky leans close, and the spirit drifts between them, carried on the memory of turning steps, on the hush of fading music. Rest now, as the dancers rest. Feel the earth steady beneath you, the sky wide above you. You two are a bridge held between earth and heaven. Your breath is the drum. Your body is the prayer. Your spirit is the dance that moves quietly through the night. Let us drift onward, carried by the rhythm of earth and sky. Now rest as the stars return to their silent watch, and the sacred dancers of Anatolia fade gently into dream. Far beyond her golden shell, Aphrodite whispers not only of desire but of the soul's longing for harmony, compassion, and the endless embrace of love. The night drifts slowly across the horizon, like silk poured upon the sea. The air is gentle, carrying the salt of the waves, and the moon hangs full, casting silver across the rippling water. Somewhere beyond the reach of time, the surface of the ocean shimmers. A shell rises, its curve glowing with the light of dawn. And from its heart steps Aphrodite, born of sea and sky, of foam and fire, her presence both tender and eternal. But tonight, she does not arrive as the goddess of mere beauty, nor as the flame of fleeting desire. She arrives as something deeper, quieter, a song hidden within the heart. The sea softens as she walks. Each step upon the foam is like a breath across still water. Her gaze is calm, her voice a whisper that cannot be heard, yet can be felt within the chest. For in her presence, the soul remembers that love is not only passion, not only longing. Love is the tide that carries one life into another. Love is the bridge between solitude and belonging. Love is the soft fire that warms without burning, that shelters without binding. In the old tales, she was the one who inspired desire, who stirred hearts into yearning. But beyond those tales, beyond the golden statues and the marble temples, she was also the gentle reminder of harmony. Aphrodite's gift was not only the flame, but also the balance, the peace found in compassion, the tenderness in the meeting of souls. The ancients believed that beauty itself was a form of truth. To see beauty, to feel it, was to glimpse the order of the cosmos, and Aphrodite was that glimpse made flesh the moment when the heart recognized that life itself was worthy of love. Picture her temples. High upon cliffs they opened to the sea. Columns rose like white trees of stone, their shadows long in the morning light. Inside, the air was filled with fragrance, roses, myrrh, and incense woven together in slow burning braziers. Priestesses moved in silence, their robes soft against the marble floors. They carried bowls of fresh water, symbols of the ocean that had cradled her birth. They placed garlands of flowers at her feet and whispered prayers not only for lovers, but for peace within families, for friendship between strangers, for kindness where there was division. In her name, they asked for balance. In her presence, they sought harmony. It is said that Aphrodite touched more than the hearts of men. She touched the turning of the seasons, the blooming of flowers, the quiet union of rain and soil. Wherever two forces met and blended, there she was. She was the joining, the flowing together, the soft surrender of one to the other. She was the bees bending into blossoms. She was the rivers merging with the sea. She was the sky leaning down to kiss the earth. In every gentle meeting, in every tender bond, Aphrodite whispered her presence. The stories of her were many. Some spoke of her as fiery and proud, her beauty both blessing and burden. But beneath those tales lies another song, quieter, steadier, the song of love as compassion. There were shrines to her, where the poor could come for comfort, where the lonely could bring their sorrow. Offerings of doves and simple flowers were laid at her altars, not only in hope of romance, but in longing for peace of heart. Those who prayed to her were not only those seeking another's hand. They were mothers asking for harmony within their homes. They were travelers asking for kindness on strange roads. They were elders asking for warmth in their final days. For Aphrodite's beauty was not the surface of the skin. It was the beauty of care, the beauty of gentleness, the beauty of a love that asks for nothing in return. Imagine now the sea at twilight. The sun lowers, the waves turn to gold, and the wind carries the scent of roses. A woman walks alone along the shore, her heart heavy with silence. She has known sorrow and she has known loss. Her steps are slow, her gaze lowered. She pauses at a small altar of stone set by the water's edge. Upon it lie seashells, wilted flowers, and a single clay lamp still glowing with light. She kneels, places her hand upon the stone, and closes her eyes. The waves wash against her feet, and in the quiet, she feels a presence. Not a figure, not a face, but a warmth within her chest. The sorrow grows lighter, the silence softer. She feels as though unseen arms have wrapped around her, not to carry her away, but simply to hold her. This too is Aphrodite, not the spark of longing, but the embrace of love that comforts without word. Love, in its truest form, is not bound by time. It is not limited to desire nor to fleeting moments. It is a tide that moves endlessly. An ocean without shore, Aphrodite was that ocean. She was the reminder that every soul is worthy of love, and that every bond, whether brief or eternal, is a thread woven into the great tapestry. The Greeks said that to honor her was to honor the longing of the soul itself, not only for another person, but for harmony with the world, to live in beauty, to walk in compassion, to see love in all things. This was her quiet gift. The waves whisper now. The night grows darker. The stars open their eyes one by one. And still her presence lingers. It is in the hush between breaths. It is in the stillness of the heart as it softens toward the world. It is in the kindness that rises unasked for, in the hand reached out, in the smile that warms the lonely. This is the Aphrodite that moves beyond beauty. This is the love that is not bound by face or form, but flows like the tide, eternal, embracing all. Rest now in that tide. Feel it move gently around you, steady, endless, safe. Your breath is the sea. Your heart is the flame. Your spirit is held within the great embrace of love. Let us drift onward as the waves carry us softly, as the night folds us into silence. Now rest, as the stars return to their watch, and Aphrodite's whisper lingers within the soul. In sacred chambers, women once listened to the language of sleep itself, weaving dream visions into guidance for kings, travelers, and seekers of peace. Approx. 800 words. The night falls gently, like a soft blanket drawn over the earth. The stars glow with a quiet shimmer, as though they are whispering secrets to the sleeping world. You lie in stillness, your breath slow, your heart steady, while ancient echoes drift closer, long ago, in lands where temples rose from stone and incense curled upward like prayer. There were sacred women who listened not to the voices of the waking, but to the whispers of dreams. They were guardians of night's wisdom. They were the oracles of dreams. In shadowed sanctuaries, hidden away from noise and daylight, their chambers were cool and dim. Stone walls held the silence. Oil lamps flickered, painting golden halos on the smooth floor. Here, seekers would come, weary travelers, kings burdened by choice, or farmers asking for blessings over the soil. They did not ask the women for worldly logic. They asked for dreams, for in dreams the ancients believed the gods still spoke. The sleeping mind was not a closed door, but a bridge, a pathway where the spirit left the weight of the body and wandered among mysteries. Every dream was seen as a message, gentle and veiled, like a letter written in symbols and starlight. The oracle women would lie upon soft mats, or in stone alcoves prepared with fragrant herbs. Laurel leaves, lavender and myrrh were burned to calm the senses. The air became heavy, sweet, and still. Their breathing slowed, their bodies stilled, until they drifted into slumber not for themselves, but for those who had come to seek. Their dreams were not private. They were offerings, visions rising from beyond the self, carrying signs meant for others. When dawn approached, they would wake gently. Water poured over their hands, and the visions were spoken aloud. The words were slow, the meanings wrapped in symbols: serpents, rivers, doves, and stars. Imagine a traveler kneeling before one of these dreamers. He is weary, unsure which road will keep him safe. The oracle describes a vision: a bird flying against the wind, wings straining, but always forward. The meaning is clear. The harder road must be taken, for only through the struggle will the traveler arrive at peace. Or picture a king, his crown heavy, uncertain whether to make war or hold still. The dreamer tells of a golden cup filled with water, but the water is still and unbroken. To disturb it would bring sorrow. To leave it untouched would bring harmony. And so the king chooses patience. The oracles of dreams were not only guides of fate, but keepers of comfort. For to listen to a dream was to listen to the heart itself, to trust that the night carried its own wisdom, to believe that the soul, when freed from daylight's noise, revealed its own truth. Even now, when you drift into sleep, you enter the same river of mystery. Every image, every soft vision, is part of the same ancient language, a language older than speech, older than words, flowing through you like moonlight across water. Their temples often stood near rivers or caves, places where silence was deep. Water was sacred to dream oracles, for water mirrored the sky, and like a dream, it reflected without ever holding. Pilgrims would sleep by sacred springs, waiting for visions to rise in their slumber. The oracles would sit beside them at dawn, listening with patience, weaving meaning gently. For no dream was dismissed. Even the smallest image, a candle, a falling leaf, a soft hand, was seen as carrying truth. One story tells of a woman who dreamed of stars falling into her hands. She awoke and told the oracle, her voice trembling with wonder. The oracle smiled and said the dream meant that blessings were near, gifts not of wealth, but of joy. And soon after, the woman's barren fields bloomed with unexpected harvest, golden grain rising tall, as though touched by heaven. Another dream came from a shepherd, who saw wolves circling his flock, their eyes burning red. The oracle spoke gently, saying the dream was not of beasts, but of envy among neighbors. The shepherd took care, offered kindness instead of anger, and the envy dissolved like mist. Such was the power of dream oracles, not to command, but to reveal, not to create fate, but to show the shapes of what already stirred unseen. In your own quiet sleep, you too may hear the same whispers. A bird may visit your dream, carrying a message of freedom. A river may appear, speaking of change and flow. A door may open, reminding you of choice. All dreams are like gentle teachers, patient and mysterious. They wait for you to notice. And so in those temples of old, the oracles taught a truth that still holds. Dreams are not to be feared. They are to be held softly, like a candle in the dark. Their meaning unfolds not in haste, but in stillness, like petals opening at dawn. Imagine now that you stand in one of those dream chambers. The walls are cool stone. The air smells of herbs and smoke. A low chant echoes from somewhere far, soft as a heartbeat. A dreamer lies still upon a mat, her breath deep and slow. You feel the weight of quiet all around you. Time itself seems to pause, and then, like ripples on water, visions stir. Symbols rise from her sleeping mind, shapes of light, flowing rivers, the sound of wings. It is not a story told in words, but in images that float like stars, and you, standing near, feel the meaning in your own chest. You sense that the dream speaks not only to kings or travelers, but to every soul, yours included. The oracles of dreams believed that every person was connected through the same night sky, that the stars above were mirrors of the stars within, that when one dreamed, the whole world dreamed with them. This belief brought peace, for no dreamer was ever truly alone. The visions they carried were woven from the same cosmic cloth, shared across time, across hearts. Tonight, as you rest, you too are part of this tapestry. Your breath is like a thread. Your dreams are like woven colors. The universe itself bends near to listen. And so the oracles pass their gift down, not in scrolls or stone, but in the simple act of listening. Listening to dreams, as one would listen to a sacred song. This was their wisdom. This was their offering. Even now, across centuries, their voices echo softly. They remind you to rest without fear, to let the night carry you, as it once carried them, to trust that even in darkness, light finds its way through symbols and silence. Now, as the chapter closes, imagine yourself lying in one of those chambers. The lamp beside you glows faint. The air is cool and calm. You feel sleep approaching, like a gentle tide. The oracles are near, though unseen. They whisper with the language of dreams, ancient and eternal. Let your thoughts drift like feathers. Let your breath settle like sand. Dreams will come, soft and unhurried as they always have, and within them you may find comfort. You may find guidance. You may find the same embrace the ancients once knew. Rest now as the stars return to their watch. Rest as the dream oracles keep their vigil. Let the night carry you onward, gently, into the silence of sleep. We wander into sands where ancient shrines have turned to dust, yet echoes of women gods, of rain, of fertility, of stars, still linger in the silence, approx to 1-800 words. The desert at night is not empty. It breathes softly like a great sleeping body. The sand holds the day's warmth, releasing it slowly beneath the silver of the moon. The wind drifts over dunes, whispering through grains of time, carrying secrets of lives and prayers long gone. Above, the stars are endless, spread wide like jewels scattered across black velvet. They shimmer without sound, yet their presence feels like song. Each one glimmers with memory, as if it has watched humanity for thousands of years. Here, in this silence, the forgotten goddesses of the desert still linger. Their names may be faded, their temples buried, yet their essence remains, woven into sand, into sky, into starlight. Long ago, when caravans crossed the endless stretches, when oases bloomed like miracles, the desert was alive with shrines. Not grand palaces, but humble stones stacked together, painted with symbols of women who ruled the cycles of life. They were mothers of rain, guardians of birth, and queens of the stars above. Travelers paused before them, pouring water into bowls, scattering grains, whispering prayers. For in the desert, survival was always fragile, and only the goddesses could soften its edges. One was the Lady of Rain. Her presence was felt in the clouds that gathered, rare and precious, above the golden dunes. People lifted their faces to the sky, begging for her gift. When drops touched the earth, they believed it was her hand, blessing them. Without her, the desert was merciless. With her, even for a season, the land breathed green, and children thrived. Another was the goddess of fertile sands. Her shrines were small but sacred, built near springs where palms leaned into the water. Women prayed to her with beads of clay and woven cloth. They asked her to watch over their wombs, to make seeds grow, to keep the animals strong. Her symbol was the curve of the crescent moon, for she was believed to rise and fall with its rhythm. When the moon was round and full, her blessings were strongest, filling the night with silver promise. And then there was the Star Mother. She did not belong to Earth alone. Her gaze was infinite, stretching across constellations. She was called upon when travelers feared the vastness of the desert, when direction seemed lost. Her stars were maps, her constellations, lanterns guiding the way. The nomads whispered that she never forgot a soul. Even if sand swallowed their footprints, her light remembered their path. Picture now a desert evening thousands of years ago. A caravan halts beside a small shrine, a simple stone circle under the rising moon. Torches flicker against the sand. A woman kneels, placing a bowl of milk before the shrine, whispering a prayer to the goddess of fertility. Nearby, a shepherd pours water onto the ground, calling upon the Lady of Rain. Children gaze upward, pointing to the brightest star, and murmur thanks to the Star Mother for their safe passage. The air is still, yet sacred presence hovers, tender and unseen. Such was the rhythm of desert life. Rituals soft as breath, repeated across generations, each act binding human fragility to divine care. And though the temples now are dust, their echoes remain. The desert remembers. Over time, winds covered shrines and new faiths rose. The names of the goddesses were spoken less, their faces faded from memory. But the desert has no graveyard. It holds everything gently, like a keeper of dreams. If you walk under moonlight across the dunes, you may still feel their presence, woven into the silence. The cool air may carry the Lady of Rain's touch. The shifting sand may carry the goddess of fertile sands' breath. And the stars, eternal, still belong to the Star Mother. There is comfort in knowing that nothing holy ever truly disappears. It changes form, like clouds drifting into rain, like seeds turning into fruit, like stars rising and falling with the night. The forgotten goddesses are not lost. They are simply quiet, their voices softer than wind. They wait in dreams, in symbols, in the hush of starlit nights. The desert itself is their temple now. Every dune a wall, every oasis a shrine, every star a torch above the sacred hall, and every sleeping soul who dreams under its sky becomes, unknowingly, a pilgrim in their care. Close your eyes now, and imagine resting in that vast expanse. The sand is cool beneath you, soft as woven cloth. The night sky stretches endlessly above, filled with constellations. You hear the faint rustle of wind. You sense the breath of these ancient goddesses all around you. The Lady of Rain whispers of renewal. She tells you that even in drought, the clouds will return. The fertile one sings of growth. She reminds you that life always finds a way to bloom, even in the hardest ground. And the Star Mother, she wraps you in her embrace, assuring you that no journey is ever truly lost, for her light never forgets. And so you rest within their eternal circle. The forgotten goddesses of the desert become not forgotten at all, but remembered through the quiet of your heart. They live in symbols and stories in the hush of starlight. Their presence lingers in every grain of sand, in every echo of wind, in every glimmer above. Now breathe softly. Let the desert cradle you. Let the stars keep their watch. Let the ancient goddesses guide your sleep, as they once guided those who wandered beneath their care. Rest in their silence. Rest in their embrace. For the desert is endless, and so is their love. Let us drift onward now, deeper into stillness, as the stars return to their eternal watch. Carried on gentle waves, we hear stories of women who blessed sailors and guided ships, their prayers rising like foam and their voices calming the storms. Approx. 2,100 words. The sea at night is never still. It moves with the rhythm of eternity, breathing in and out, sighing beneath the moon. Waves roll in whispers, one folding over the other, as if repeating ancient prayers. Salt drifts through the air, soft and sharp at once, clinging to the skin like memory. Far out upon the water, the stars shimmer above the horizon. They lean close to their reflection, guiding those who sail through the darkness. And though the sea can be wild, though storms may rise without warning, there is always a gentler presence hidden within its depths. It is the spirit of the sea mothers, ancient goddesses soft as tides, who have watched over sailors and wanderers for thousands of years. Long before maps were drawn, before compasses were held, the people of the Mediterranean trusted in these divine women. Fishermen whispered their names at dawn. Mothers lit lamps on the shore, their flames trembling like stars, asking for safe return. Merchants prayed before setting sail, knowing the sea carried both treasure and risk. And above it all, the sea mothers listened. They were not distant rulers, but close and intimate guardians. They rose with the foam of the waves, shining in moonlit spray. They moved with dolphins, with gulls, with the quiet drift of currents. When storms shook the waters, their voices sang softly, reminding sailors to hold courage. When ships returned home, their blessings were felt in the calm embrace of the harbor. Among them was a goddess known as the Lady of Foam. She was said to be born of sea spray, rising where waves kissed the rocks. Her beauty was not harsh or dazzling, but soft, like moonlight on ripples. She carried the promise of safe journeys, of gentle winds. When fishermen cast their nets, they prayed for her blessing. When lovers walked along the shore, they left shells for her as tokens of gratitude. Another was the mother of harbors. She was not found on the open sea, but in the stillness of sheltered bays. Her temples stood where ships rested, where wooden hulls touched calm waters. She guarded arrivals, guiding vessels into safe embrace after long voyages. Her symbol was the anchor, steady, faithful, a reminder that even the wandering spirit finds rest. And then there was the star guide. She lived not only in the waves, but in the heavens above them. Her gift was navigation. She lit the night sky with constellations, teaching sailors how to read the stars. Each star was a torch, each constellation a path. Her light was never cruel. Even in the darkest storm, when clouds hid the sky, sailors trusted that she was there, waiting beyond the veil. Picture now a night upon the sea 2,000 years ago. A small ship drifts between islands. The men aboard are tired, their hands rough with rope, their eyes heavy with watchfulness. The water rises gently against the sides of the boat. Above, the moon leans low, pouring silver across the waves. They whisper prayers to the sea mothers, leaving offerings in the water, bread, oil, small carved figures, hoping the tide will carry their devotion. The water shimmers in answer as though the sea itself smiles back. For in every tide, the sea mothers move. In every foam, their breath lingers. In every gull's cry, their memory calls. In Carthage, women once poured milk into the sea at dawn, offering it to the goddess Tanit, asking her to bless their husband's return. On the Greek islands, small shrines stood by the shore, where Aphrodite was honored not only as a goddess of beauty, but as protector of the waters. Among Phoenician traders, prayers rose to Asherah, mother of the deep, whose presence stretched across waves like endless embrace. In every culture that touched the Mediterranean, the sea was more than water. It was a womb, a mirror, a path. And at its heart, it was feminine, endlessly giving, endlessly mysterious. The sea mothers were not only protectors, they were also teachers. They reminded people that the sea, like life itself, could never be controlled. It demanded respect. It asked for humility. A sailor could not command the tide, only listen to it. In this way, the sea mothers taught patience, courage, and surrender. To trust the current was to trust them. To fear the storm was to forget their song. Their wisdom is still felt today, though their names may not be spoken as before. Every time someone sits by the shore, listening to waves repeat themselves endlessly, there is a soft remembering. Every time a boat returns safely, there is gratitude carried silently in the heart. And every time the stars glimmer above the dark sea, there is the star guide, still lighting the way. Close your eyes now, and drift with the water. Feel the rocking of the waves, gentle and constant, like a cradle. The sea hums softly an endless lullaby. In that lullaby, you hear the voices of the sea mothers. The Lady of Foam whispers of beauty that cannot be lost, beauty that rises again and again like waves against the shore. The Mother of Harbors promises rest, assuring you that every journey finds its home. And the star guide tells you that you are never lost, for her light remembers you, even when the night feels endless. Their words are soft as seashells held to the ear. Their presence is as steady as the tide. Their love is as wide as the horizon. Let the waves carry you now, farther from worry, deeper into calm. Let the salt air cleanse the weight of the day. Let the moonlit water hold you, rocking you toward sleep. For the sea mothers still guard the Mediterranean, still hum their endless prayer. They cradle every sailor, every traveler, every dreamer who drifts upon the sea of night. Rest in their care, rest in their song. The sea moves gently, the stars shine brightly, and you are safe within their embrace. Let us drift onward now, into quieter waters. As the stars return to guide the night, our journey ends with a hymn, a soft weaving of all the women we have met, their stories joining into one eternal lullaby, soothing the spirit into rest. Approx. Common 850 words night settles like a velvet cloak. The stars drift into place one by one, as though gentle hands have lit lanterns in the sky. The air is still, soft with the breath of quiet winds, and the earth waits in silence. It is here, in this hush, that the hymn begins. A hymn without instruments, a hymn without loudness. It rises not from the throat, but from the heart. It is the final song of the divine feminine, carried across ages, carried across seas, carried now to you as you rest. The hymn begins with a whisper of water, a memory of rivers where priestesses once walked barefoot, carrying jars of sacred offerings. Their footsteps were light, their voices low, singing to the currents that mirrored the moon. The rivers answered, swirling softly, carrying blessings down to the villages waiting below. The waters held the strength of mothers. They gave without asking. They nourished fields, children, animals. They reminded all who drank from them that life flows from a hidden spring, unseen, but eternal. And so the hymn begins as a river, flowing gently around you now, soothing you into calm. From the river, the hymn drifts into the desert. There, beneath skies heavy with stars, women of old lifted their arms toward constellations. Their prayers shimmered in the night, joining the light above them. They sang of the goddess who wore the heavens as her robe, who curved her body into the sky so that the world might sleep safely beneath her. Their song was not hurried. It was as slow as the shifting dunes, as patient as the moon's rising. They knew the divine feminine was not only in the earth, but also in the stars. Every spark in the sky was a reminder that love can shine even in the deepest night. And so the hymn becomes starlight now, scattered across your thoughts, soft and endless, helping your own inner night to glow. The hymn continues, carried upon the sea. The Mediterranean rolls beneath the moon, waves folding over waves. On its shores, women once cast flowers into the water. Some prayed for safe voyages. Some prayed for fertility. Others prayed simply to be remembered. The sea took each prayer gently. It rocked them upon its tides. It carried them far, scattering them like shells upon distant beaches. And in the foam, the sea mothers whispered back, promising protection, promising return. Their hymn was the sound of waves against stone, of gulls crying at dawn, of the tide breathing in and out without end. And so, as you rest now, you may hear that same hymn, rising and falling like the rhythm of your own breath. The hymn then moves to the mountains, high peaks crowned with mist, forests where quiet fires once burned, tended by women who kept the old ways. Their voices rose in chants, slow and steady, like the heartbeat of the earth itself. They sang to the goddess of stone and root. They sang to the one who birthed fruit in the orchard, who gave herbs their healing strength, who hid treasures deep within caves. Every mountain was her altar, every grove was her temple. The hymn in the mountains is steady, grounding, unshaken. It settles your body as stone settles into the earth, firm and calm. It reminds you that beneath you is always a foundation, always a support, always a mother's embrace holding you steady. The hymn weaves now into stories of the hearth. Small flames glowing in clay houses, mothers humming as they baked bread, grandmothers whispering old tales to children by the fire. The divine feminine was not only in temples or seas, but also in the simple act of warmth. The crackle of fire was itself a hymn. It told of protection. It told of comfort. It told of the sweetness of being gathered, of being safe. In the hymn of the hearth, there is no need to strive. There is no need to wander. It is enough simply to be here, in the glow, at rest. From the hearth, the hymn opens into the air itself, carried by the wings of doves, carried by the laughter of children playing in gardens, carried by the quiet breathing of those asleep. It is a hymn of peace, light and unseen, yet present everywhere. The divine feminine is in every breath, every sigh, every pause. She is in the silence after words. She's in the calm between thoughts. Her hymn does not demand. It does not command. It simply is. A presence soft as dawn, endless as night. Listen now. The hymn is not only around you. It is within you. It hums beneath your heartbeat, slow and faithful. It flows with your breath, rising and falling. It shines with the quiet spark of your spirit, steady and unbroken. The divine feminine is not far away. She is in you. She has always been in you. Her hymn reminds you that you belong to life, and life belongs to you, that you are carried always by an eternal song of love. The hymn grows softer now. It no longer moves like rivers or stars or seas. It folds into stillness like a candle burning low. The last notes linger in the air, glowing gently before fading into silence. But silence is not empty. Silence is where the hymn rests. Silence is where you may hear it most clearly. A song without sound, a lullaby without end. Now the hymn closes, though in truth it never truly ends. It lingers, like starlight long after the sun has risen. It waits like the tide ready to rise again. It rests, like the earth, holding you in its steady embrace. And so you too may rest now. Let the hymn cradle you. Let the divine feminine hold you in her endless lullaby. Let your spirit drift like a feather on still water, safe, cherished, eternal. The night is deep. The stars are kind. The hymn has been sung. Let us drift onward, into dreams, into quiet as the stars return.